The Conversation by Sync Skills.
I was sleeping for 4 hours out of 24 hours. I just kept on writing, shooting this email, sending this one, writing this.
Did you learn about, give yourself that belief that you can actually pursue it and get it?
It is better to try and fail than not to try at all. Because if you don't try, if you don't fail, you won't know a better way. The truth is this, it's good to be good. We need people, networking. Even if it is just one person or two people you know, you don't know the day you are going to need them.
The way we say it is, if you are not in a do or die situation, like, hey, I'm done.
If you are not tired of your situation, you may not be able to change it. I can't continue what I'm doing. I need a change. If you don't get to that level, the change will not come. Don't stop trying. And as time goes on, narrow your options. Don't have too many options. Because the more options you have, the more likely you'll be confused on which area to face. Career is not just one directional. It could be a parabola. It can sometimes even look like a negative slope. But once it gets down to the peak, it picks up again to the top.
So welcome to the conversation. Today I have with me Dr. Oladapo, who has a very unique and interesting story that I am sure would inspire somebody. So he will be sharing a lot about how the journey to Australia has been, diving into his academic prowess, I would say, to career growth and continuous growth. I mean, that's important to say. I see all the amazing work you've been doing on LinkedIn as well, and sparking productive conversation through your continuous upskilling and development. I respect you a lot personally because I think you have this test for knowledge that I admire. And when I see people like you, I always want to just continue that relationship. And it's just great to see your journey and the growth. So today, welcome, Dr. Oladapo.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you so much for the invite, and it's been great connected with you and the team at Sync Skills.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
We are happy to have you as part of our community as well, and it's been great. So I guess the first question is, I've done that intro, but that is just scratching the surface, I would say. How would you like someone to describe you, like in one sentence, if that's not too hard?
Okay, describing me in one sentence. I would say I'm a passionate researcher who believes in trying new things.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I see your constant test to learn new things, develop, and for people who don't know, I think personally, if you invest in yourself, then you are bound for success. Like the best type of investment you can actually do is the investment in oneself, and you always you always pursue it with vigor. I say that new knowledge. Like how did you turn out this way? Let's just dive a bit into why are you, because some people actually don't like to try new things. They just let me just do what I know and that's fine.
I would like to go a bit into how I came into Australia. Maybe that would give you a better idea of how I got to where I am now. I am this kind of person that is always very passionate about something, especially when I can have a cue that this thing is going to work out. Like when I was in Nigeria, my home country, I finished the first degree. I was almost going into the auditing firm. My dad works in accounting and business administration, so I tried one of the big four auditing firms, and I did the first stage, passed the aptitude test. I did the manager interview. I mean, with the senior, then the manager. Then I met one-on-one with the partner. A South African. I can't even forget her name. But unfortunately, I was unsuccessful. So I had to go back because I was running my master's then in Nigeria. So, and I was just applying. It took me 3 years. I graduated my first degree at 2010. I served in northern Nigeria 2011. And then it took me 3 years before I could get my first opportunity to travel out of Nigeria by a scholarship.
Mm.
I had gotten some scholarships earlier, but I didn't have money to pursue it. But I kept on applying some scholarships. That's another story for another day.
Mm.
Interestingly, let me see. I'm privileged to have graduated with a first class
Wow.
in my undergrad. So, and you know that drive that as a young guy now looking at it, I can't continue to depend on my parents for
Mm.
life. I need to look. So I kept on looking around. Even I thought in a community school back at home that I was one of the founding teachers. Even for that academic year, I was one that won the best award for the teachers,
Wow.
best teacher award. I taught junior class, I taught senior class. Even after I traveled to Europe, came back, they took me then eventually before I came to Australia.
Wow.
Even when I was in the north, I also taught and I bought books for students. And because when you see students who are hungry for knowledge, who wants to grow, and it aligns with the value I share,
Mm.
it's something that is personal to
Yeah.
me. And that's one of the things my wife also knows that if I want to do something, I go all out for
Mm.
it. So eventually I kept on applying. And when I came to Australia, I was fortunate enough. Okay, let me say I got an opportunity to Hungary in 2014 for a master's sponsored by the Hungarian government, Ministry of Agriculture, and and that's United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization for a master's program in agriculture biotechnology in Hungary. And then when I was in my first semester,
Mm.
like after finishing my first semester, was when I was already thinking, what is next?
Mm.
Like
Foresight.
after my master, because I was almost like, I had a master's I was finishing. It extended to a third year. My dad, I told him, let me just abandon this master because I got another one outside Nigeria. He said, no, they paid for a third year. So I kind of wrote a letter to the grad school that I want to put it on hold, that when I come back, I'll finish it. So I went to Hungary, and immediately I finished my first semester, I started checking online, checking Canada, checking Australia. I applied to so many countries of the world, all over, even up to China,
Wow.
looking for the next phase. Looking up there, I was like, because I had language issues in Europe, living in Europe for 2 years,
Oh.
except for with the part of Europe I lived in is not in the West.
Oh.
I lived in Central Europe, very close to share border with Czech.
Check. Yeah.
If you know Hungary very well, if you know the map of
Yeah.
Hungary, we have Czech, Slovenia, Slovakia, Austria. They are the border, and Romania, Serbia.
Mm.
They're the bordering countries. So,
Yeah.
which is typical of Europe. There are some countries that even if they understand English, they prefer their native
Yeah.
language, which is who they are.
Yeah.
So there and then I saw an opportunity in Australia. I had applied since 2014. I had applied, and fortunately, out of all the pools of
Mm.
applications, someone responded. So the person that actually supervised me for my PhD, I kept on communicating with her for 2 years.
Wow.
She was surprised that when she asked me to write a proposal, she was shocked that I wrote a proposal of almost, I'm not exaggerating here because I have a copy of it. A proposal of because I had contacted my seniors who are in USA, in Canada, in Australia, people that I knew were seniors and have done this
Yeah.
before, which is one thing about me. If there's someone who has done something you want to do,
I
connect with
know.
them.
I was going to say that you always like, oh, this you've done this thing, right? Okay, come and show me the way to
Is it?
save
It
time.
is the secret to make
Yeah.
it. Honestly, it makes your journey faster because you are learning. They said a wise person learns from his own
Mm.
mistake. A wiser person learns from the mistake of
Mm.
others. But the wisest person does what he learns from the success of
Mm.
others. So looking at that third level, you want to combine everything so that you be wiser or
I
wisest
think
as opposed to learning from your own
I think
errors.
that's super inspiring. Super inspiring. Yeah.
So then and then I got their documentations here and there. So I wrote it because I was sleeping for 4 hours out of 24 hours every day.
Wow.
Within that 2015 to 2016, I was sleeping for 4 hours out of 24 hours because there was light,
Yeah.
there was internet. So I just kept on writing, shooting this email, sending this one, writing this, writing that one. I also published some research articles to that because I was like, how am I going to move? What's the next phase? So I was always thinking of that next phase.
Yeah.
Then I wrote up the documents. I sent it to my supervisor. Was blown away. When I came in 2017 to Australia, she was just even telling my wife when I had my confirmation, which is the first milestone of my PhD, that she has not met someone like me before that. I actually wrote a milestone documentation for the proof that she was really impressed, you know. But she didn't know that me, I'm hungry for. I saw the one that was give me an opportunity,
Yeah.
and I had to like go all out for
Mm.
it. That is the thing. When you have opportunity meeting preparation,
Ah,
that is
that is
favor.
that is a super cue. I wish more people actually understand that statement more deeply, right? And I say this because you know what we do at Same Skills. Some people want to
Yes.
do hard doc interviews. You know what that means? Like when they get interviews, they want to quickly do
Mm.
no, I'm tired. Let's quickly do
What
interview.
I can call a fire
And we
brigade approach.
and we have a constant recurring interviews, as you know, Mondays and Tuesdays. Some of them will
Tuesdays,
not
yes.
attend, right? But when they just get, because they don't believe, when they now get interviewed, they want to do crash.
Mm.
Like some people like
It
it
does not work
back
that
home
way.
when
Honestly,
they will have exam.
it does not work that
They
way.
have exam, they'll
Yes.
go and do sleepover and they'll go and
Over.
study overnight, and it's not always
Mm.
effective. I mean, like you said,
True. True.
preparation meets opportunity, success.
Honestly, preparation is
So you
key.
wowed your supervisor and you got
Yes, and I can tell you. Can I tell you this also? I was one of the first students in our team that she spent a lot
hmm,
on on my project. She sponsored me on my conference to present in Sydney.
hmm.
I was supposed to go to Poland in 2019. An interesting story from that day. Australian Post misplaced my Nigerian international passport and Polish visa in transit. So I lost the opportunity. All the grants that I won,
What?
all the bookings, my presentation, I could not attend.
What? They
In
lost.
2020, I was back in Sydney. Yes, but 2 months after I had gotten a new passport, they found it, they brought it to my house. Although I had to collect some money from them to process a new one. But I lost the opportunity of so many
Oh my
grants that I
goodness.
won. I won some grants from even some international bodies from the university. I won a Poster Award because I presented part of my research. I won a travel award and a certificate, but I lost so many things in that process.
Wow.
Then 2020, I was meant to go to Spain again, COVID. So I
Oh.
had to call back for my passport. Then I just had to stay in Australia, face my research, and finish up and graduated. Interestingly, that was in 2021 now. Yes, I got an opportunity because then I was already thinking I got a job in different places, but looking at the pay, the
Yeah.
distance, it was not fitting my family
Yeah.
need. Because for me, I would say at this stage of my life, one of the key things, one of the driving forces is my family,
Of course.
my immediate family, then my extended
Yeah.
family by extension.
Yeah.
So looking at it, I got some jobs, and in 2020, we started hearing of possibilities of doing some low skill job, care jobs, and other ones, which was one of the things we did.
Hmm.
I did it in addition to what I was doing then
Yeah.
because my stipend ended September 2020.
Hmm.
And fortunately, then I was almost on the verge of becoming an Australian permanent
Hmm.
resident. So in October of 2020, I became a permanent resident. So this also facilitated some things. But applying for jobs then, we kept on applying. Nothing was forthcoming.
Hmm.
Then I got the opportunity for a postdoc the following year in 2021. But I was still looking at it that no, this is not what I want to do. Yes, I have a PhD. I love teaching. I love critical
Yeah.
thinking, putting my analytic skills to test and trying new things, making mistakes. Sometimes you even challenge yourself, can I really do this thing? Can I do this thing? But you have to come out and say, okay, nothing ventured, nothing
Hmm.
gained. It is better to try and fail than not to try at all.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't try, if you don't fail, you won't know a better way of attempting a task.
Absolutely.
And you won't face your fear if you don't try.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I have an interview. What am I going to
Yeah.
say? If you don't show up at that interview and go and say rubbish, you won't know maybe they will accept your rubbish. You won't know maybe you are saying the right thing.
Exactly.
So that's my home. These are my own personal philosophies, and I've been teaching my wife and even by a little bit of the people I
Yeah.
influence, trying to share this with them that see, nobody knows
Hmm.
it all. As I'm talking to
Mm-hmm.
you, there are things that if you see me writing about it in the public domain, it will be like, oh, this guy knows a lot of these things. But it is an aspect of that thing that I
Mm-hmm.
know. which I'm still trying. Like, okay, I'm going from the
Yeah.
known to the unknown, and that is life.
I think that
You cannot get everything understood from the beginning, so you have to. It's a journey.
absolutely, absolutely. I think it's very inspiring. But I want to go deeper a bit in terms of your journey. Like you have this quest and you've been pursuing academic progress for a long.
Yeah.
Like, where did you get that? Is that like your parents? Were they like professors or like
Interestingly, I would say I'm the most educated person in my
academias
family.
or like where
My
did you
mommy, not much.
actually
My dad only has a bachelor's.
like?
I'm the youngest in my family, interestingly. I'm the baby of my house,
Yeah,
but I'm the most educated.
you like book.
And well, we say maybe it's just one thing we feel is a way out.
Hmm.
For some of us, we feel if our talent, if we can put it to use, and we see that there are people that value it. Like when we put in our letter of motivation, they tell us that why do you think you're fit for these
Yeah,
opportunities? Then you have to sell yourself. Tell them about your background. So we tell our stories. If we don't tell our stories, nobody's going to tell it. But don't tell your story from a place of like you're begging them to give you this thing.
absolutely.
Tell it from the place of, okay, this is me, this is my journey, and this is the motivation. This is what I'm happy to
Hmm.
do. And I'm happy to put my best foot
Hmm.
forward. Like, I believe I am competitive.
Yeah,
I believe I can attempt a task. Interestingly, even when I was in Hungary, there was this winter school I attended in Slovakia. 2 weeks winter school I presented there. When they sent out the invite, it was an Erasmus program, this European
yeah.
Union. In the whole faculty, when they wrote it out that whoever is interested in going for this sponsor
Hmm.
trip should indicate interest. I believe you can guess who was the first person to respond. I was the first person to respond in the whole
Hmm.
faculty. So I got an automatic slot.
Wow.
So when they now saw the pool of people that are responding, they now said, oh, they'll give preference to this certain of people. After myself and another male in my team from Ethiopia, then two other guys joined. They were Nigerians, but they came to under scholarship
Hmm.
scheme. But I was the very first person that responded in all.
Wow.
So me, it's like, if you know that you are not very good at something and you see an open door, give yourself an opportunity to try.
Absolutely.
Seize the
Hmm.
opportunity. Opportunities are
Hmm.
abound. I tell people, even when you look at something, this thing looks like, oh, it is only a certain people that are
Get
like
it. Yeah.
favoring. Have you made
Attempt.
effort?
Yeah.
Have you tried? Or you're already self-sabotaging yourself, telling yourself,
Hmm.
I'm not good enough. Well, I'm not this kind of people. And in the real world, first class is good, but you have to work hard to back up your first class. First class enough does not put food on your table.
I mean,
It gives an open door, but it is a means. It's not the end.
absolutely. I mean that is clear. A lot of people are seeing that that's clear. You can get first class, and we've seen a lot of people get first class, but the skill to actually do the job for
Mm,
organization is different. It's not about your
yeah,
academic, all of that. So that brings me to
exactly.
ask you. So, you are someone that always goes for opportunity. At what point did you learn about Australian opportunity and just give yourself that belief that you can actually, pursue it and get it? You said you tried for 2 years, if I'm correct.
Three
Wow.
years.
That is a lot of
I
trying.
served in Nigeria, northern Nigeria, so I was already browsing about since 2011.
Wow.
2011, I've been trying Canada, I tried New Zealand, tried China, tried Europe, I tried Germany, I tried Finland, spread my applications all over.
Wow.
Because I had one of my senior is in Melbourne who told me I can get something in
Hmm.
Australia. So I kept on trying Australia since 20, I think I would say, is it 2011 or 2012? Even after I went for my master, I kept on sending cold emails. We call it cold
Yeah.
emails. Reaching out, but we are not taking anyone, no funding. So that continued to 2014. When I got to Europe, I kept on sending out applications, sending out cold emails up until 2014, I think February. It was like around my birthday in 2014
Hmm.
when I lost, look out of the blues, this supervisor of mine, she's a female, reach out and say thank you for liking my profile, and we kept on communicating. I was always saying once I do my semester result, I send her the transcript. I kept on updating her every semester. Even when there was a long break, I was like, ah no, this one was not sleep off. So I kept on bombarding her with messages. Then when I graduated in 2016, I sent out the. I also got some awards too,
Oh,
and
that's
you
brilliant.
know,
So
I
one
just looked at it
lesson
that
there, you have to keep
initially I was not
trying,
even looking at getting
continue to
distinction
try.
in my
I
masters because I felt like
yeah.
we've done this in Nigeria. Me, I'm looking at, I'm like, there's a next level, and as God will have it, someone told me my one of my guys then, one of my classmates told me then that you are the luckiest person in this room today because excellence started from 4.81 at master's level, and that was what I graduated with on my final day.
Wow.
I think my coursework was about 4.7 something. In my thesis, I had everything five out of five.
Wow.
Then there's something called state exam. Like you pull a question. I didn't do very well in it, but when they pulled out the result, they gave me 4.81 on the dot. I was like, well, God, I think
Oh.
you have another thing here. We did it in Nigeria, now you have done it again. I said, God, okay.
Ah.
So that's when I knew some of these things are like God's, like I will say this. God loves someone that can make effort
Mm,
for those that are religious. Even if you are not so religious, effort goes a long way. That it is easy. Like when you are pushing something that has a wheel,
mm.
it is easy for you for something that is standing on a
Yeah.
wheel, a little push, it will
Yeah.
roll. As opposed to something that is just standing static on the floor, you will need to
Push.
push a
Yeah.
lot of energy. You have to exert a lot of push in terms of the force. But if something is standing on the wheel or something that can make it slide, a little push, the thing rolls. That's life.
That's brilliant. I'm learning a lot. I mean, that's super inspiring. So let's chat about. I know, like the journey to permanent residency was also very interesting. That is another example of
Yeah.
how you chase your dream, and I'm keen to learn from that experience. So tell me, like, how did you hear about global talent, and then how did you pursue that?
That was in 2020 February. The global talent had started then, I think November of 2019. So somebody just reached out to me. You see, the truth is this: it's good to be good.
Hmm.
We need people networking. Even if it is just one person or two people you don't know the day you are going to need
Hmm.
them. So for me, I was always this person in lab that when I joined my lab, I realized that there were some processes that were not good. Like people were struggling to do something. But I told myself, in fact, that it's my like a principle, a motto for myself and my family. Like what we went through, we don't want people coming after us to suffer it.
Absolutely.
Even in our home, even in our offices, that if I know one information, I'm like, have you heard about this? Have you tried this? Two people, one person was who was studying in Queensland University of Technology. The wife reached out to me. Have you heard of this pathway? Because in 2018, PhD stopped being a work experience. And we came in 2019 thinking we use PhD. But then we just have to like, okay, well, when we finish, we go and look for student work experience and build up from there. Then we use that. Someone reached out to me. The wife said, have I heard about it? I should reach out to her husband. Then another person who also happened to be a Nigerian who came in after me. Interestingly, the person lived with us, but he also had people in QUT who said there's this pathway that they are taking in people.
Hmm.
It is very easy, this and that and that. That is not a viable means to get your permanent residency. Then a third person, another female, who is an elderly person, she's like, then I think she's about 5 years older than me. But because she sees the way I am, she's very like an assistant professor in our country, but is a pharmacist when she came in.
Hmm.
But we are colleagues in the lab. She came to me that, how are you? Have you heard about this? She's from Bangladesh. She told me those are the three people. Then I just jump online. I check the website. I just look at it. Okay, well, what do they need? As at that 2020, I had some competitions. I had won some awards.
Yeah.
All what I had from Nigeria, I had everything. I had some publications. I think I have written about 3 or 4 articles that were already published in Elsevier, those top ranking journals then. So I feel I think I'm competitive enough to give this a shot. So I just expressed interest, and in 2 weeks after, I got a code, the unique identifier code to
Wow.
apply. But because of some family reasons, that was in February. So we didn't put in any application until July
Hmm.
of 2020. Ah, well, my wife and I sat down one day and said, oh God, don't let us miss this opportunity. You know, when they say they invite people for application, they need
Yeah.
time. 60 days, this and that and that. Even I reached out to one immigration agent in our church. He said, oh, please try and put in application. Then another miracle that happened was one of our family friends called us from Sydney, said, have you heard about this global talent? What is delaying you guys? I will tell you about money. Do you know she spoke with her husband? Her husband spoke with this migration agent. They just sent the money to us.
Wow.
So we just quickly put in application because for me, another thing about me is I don't like fire brigade approach. I like building
Yeah.
up what I can call incremental
Yeah.
approach. I do my things bit by bit so that once I'm ready to go live or launch, everything is ready. I can quickly do a careful review, then do it. So I've had all the documents, everything ready. So I just put in everything on July 13th. The following day, I started getting emails from the immigration. Everything acknowledged. 2 days after, I started getting emails. I think 1 week after, they said, oh, there's one document I need to make a color print
Hmm.
out. So they started communicating and communicating with us. Then they told my wife to go take English test. She did. We did medicals, police check here and there. I went to Hungarian embassy somewhere I didn't even know in Logan
Ah.
to go and get a report that I had a clean record while I was living in Hungary. But 3 months, hello there, 3 months, exactly 3 months after October 13th, the PR came in the email. It took us 3 months.
Wow.
But the thing is, preparation.
Preparation.
They were solid applications,
Yeah,
so
of course.
solid
Of course. It's a
applications.
very competitive. Now it's even crazy. I mean,
Hmm.
I can relate because I've applied to that visa and I know. I know how many, like how elaborate that documentation has to be. So, yeah, congrats on that. How long have you lived in Australia so far?
So I left Nigeria April 3. We landed April 5, 2017. So well about April 5 of this year was 7 years exactly.
Wow.
So and this is
June. Yeah,
June,
you're already seven.
May, June. So about 7 years and a little over 7 years and 2 months thereabout.
So what do you love most about Australia so far?
Well, one of the things I love about Australia, okay, let me say three things I love about Australia is
Hmm.
I love the weather.
Yeah.
They speak English around here. It's easy to understand people
I think
and
they dealt with you
opportunities.
in Hungary
Ah,
for you
well,
to appreciate
growing up
English.
in an English, yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, if it was me myself alone, I could have managed. I lived in the North Nigeria. I had to learn the language.
Yeah.
So going to Hungary,
Ooh.
I had to learn another strand of language. The language called Magyar, which I learned in the first semester for some communication. But second semester, I was like, I'm not taking any language. Let me just face my program, finish it, and go. So,
Wow.
but I didn't want to put my wife or children into this. I have
Yeah.
had friends whose family have to be learning German, learning other languages. I'm like, oh no, how am I going to raise a family here learning all these languages? How is it going to be easy? So those are some of the things I appreciate around Australia.
Ah, powerful. So what were some of the most challenging things that you had to do with?
Okay, good question. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah.
At a point, I after I finished my PhD and I was looking for a job, I got a job that was somewhere far away in Warwick, and I was going to be living on the farm, somewhere that I was like, I can't bring in my family here, so I had to drop it. They were practically offering me the job. Let me say it was like they were dashing me the job.
Wow.
Though I was going to work under someone, they were practically dashing me the job. I got another job in Jibong that I was going to be working as a technician, but I could not be waking up at 5 a.m. every day, driving for 45 minutes,
Hmm.
coming back at 1. So I had to drop it. Then I got a postdoc. But the postdoc 2 was very good experience for me. Let me say that way. it was not extended. So one of the challenges I had was I had to fall back on a low skill job. I had to combine jobs. I taught in TAFE. During that time I was in postdoc. I taught in TAFE. I was doing disability. So I was doing practical like 3 jobs at the same time.
Oh my
I
goodness.
was teaching. It was a lot. So
Wow.
trying to balance, really providing for the family and still do something. And I realized that it was getting to me that I could not really get a job that would give me that family time, those kind of flexibility I was looking for. So I got a point in, is it April, May, June? I consulted one of someone I call a big brother who also is a doctor from QUT, is an engineer. He now referred me to a friend of his who is in Melbourne. He now introduced me to a friend of his who initially ran me through business line because he saw that I was tired. I actually resigned all the care jobs I was doing at that time. I had to resign everything because I felt like emotionally stressed. I was like psychological, like, no, this is not what I want. Even at the point I told myself that I don't think I want to do academic job. If I want to use my research skills, let me go and use it in the industry. Because I said I want something that I knew the kind of pain I went through. And again, I had to downsize my CV at some point,
Yeah.
even putting in bachelor's degree. Sometimes you can't even talk about your master's or PhD. You have to reduce yourself. You have to now start looking for, okay, at the point we're thinking of, okay, are we going to go and take a certificate course or TAFE?
Wow.
When that brother now told me about business analysis, I now started to connect that, oh, this looks like something viable. So he ran us through. And before then, the family had even exposed us to software testing, manual software testing.
Yeah.
So that was it. I was already learning about the component, all the different stages of software testing, even the certification. But I was not confident enough that I don't think I can. I actually got some interviews for software testing, but the way I am, I got some ideas for business analysis was not the way I got it for software testing. I know it theoretically. I even had to watch videos on Udemy, but I was not confident enough because I was like, I don't have real life experience, the real life walk through. Like, this is how you say this, this is how you relate this that I have when I started diving into data analysis and business analysis. And when I got that juncture, I told myself that I did a PhD, I can leverage on data. And with what is happening now, with Agile, I was learning also about the Agile methodology. I was learning about business analysis, and I was like making a lot of sense. Initially, too, it was looking very
Yeah.
abstract. Then I pushed through. I got some contract rules. I got some job. But when I now started working in the organization, some of the things my mentor then taught me, I used it when I first got my full-time role. Then and then, someone that had attended Sync Skills told me about the approach Sync Skill uses to train, which was something that when I saw, and the Bible says the word is established in the mouth of two or three. When you hear two people commend Sync Skills, someone too told me about Sync Skills, how he got 3 jobs almost within space of, and he moved to a principal business analyst. I was like, really?
Yeah.
Ha! I think I need to give this a try. Then someone said I should reach out to Noah, which I did, and it was a very good experience. A very good experience. But one of the key things I would like to say is this: if you are not tired of your situation, you may not be able to change it until you get to that level that you are tired. That I can't continue what I'm doing. I need a change.
I think
If you don't get to that level, the change will not
the
come.
way we say it is, if you are not in a do or die situation, seek, absolutely seek, like, hey, I'm done. You know what? There was one time I remember my wife, my wife,
Yes.
she was looking after one child under like one child, I should say, that was troublesome. I don't know the condition the guy has, but yeah, that's in the past. And he spat on her face at work.
Wow.
That was like a accumulation of, because I've been telling her like, hey, you can't, like, you have too much potential. I can't like allow this go to waste, right? But sometimes you need a moment, you need a situation, an incident that will just be like, nah, I'm tired of this situation. She had outburst. I'm like, calm down, just you've done worse things, but that day, oh,
Mm.
I had to console her a lot because she was so broken. Like, and like you said, if you're not tired of that situation, you just still be like, well, I'll just do this here and do that one here. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But you've reached that,
Yeah.
yeah, you had reached that
And the thing is, I realize
situation.
is motivation.
Mm,
And that motivation comes in two ways. Even if you are someone that has gotten years of experience, tell me all the success stories, tell me all the pitfalls. And I don't have that intrinsic motivation that comes from
yeah,
within, it will not
it
make sense.
won't.
So the intrinsic must meet the extrinsic motivation, and we have to put in the work. When they say use this to practice it, then I will wake up in the night, 12 midnight, when everybody's sleeping. I'll be doing, then I start as a data
Yeah,
analyst. I'll be practicing Excel, practicing Power BI, practicing this to reading this video, watching that video, training here, training here, training here. Then, even when I did my first formal role, I had to go show them that I'm
yeah.
courageous, I can do it. I have to come. Though then I was having a little doubt, but I didn't let it show.
Mm,
The first time I used the pivot table, then they had a dashboard, and the project manager I worked with was very good in Excel. I'm good in Power BI.
yeah.
But when I checked everything, she was not satisfied that we can't extract this visual. So I had to do like extract in Excel. There's this function in Power BI
Mm.
service. I had to reach out to people on LinkedIn, people I knew in Nigeria. Please teach me this thing. I'm having this problem at work. I had to pay some people per session. I had to call people because I see that, see, if there's someone that knows where you are
Hmm.
going, follow the person with no road because it will save you time, it will save you stress, it will help you
Hmm.
shine. It will help you shine because it will be like you are leaning on on the wings of those that have gone ahead of you, so you can see farther.
I'll share another story. Like, I think that's powerful. I just piggybacking what you just said. I remember receiving an Instagram message, on our Sin Skills, Instagram. So the ladies in the UK last year, and she was like, "Hey, tell me about your program at Sin Skills, this and that." So I was telling her on chat. I couldn't call her. So I was telling her on chat, and she asked for price. I told her, she said, "Oh, it's too expensive." Do you know that
Wow.
yesterday? Anyway, we discussed and I explained the full. She hadn't, because it was on chat. She didn't know exactly all the component of what we offer. So she made us think.
Hmm.
Yesterday, was it yesterday or day before yesterday? I'm sure you saw the message, right? She got a senior business analyst role with Accenture
Wow.
plus
Oh,
visa sponsorship,
that
all
sponsorship.
paid.
Okay. Wow.
£7,000 was what they paid.
Excellent. Wow.
Like
Wow.
£7,000. So
Okay.
if you've paid,
Hey, that's a full
do you
package.
understand? Like the magnitude of that, right? It wasn't
Hmm.
easy. She messaged at the end of August, I think, and then she's been doing training internship, committing to the process. She took a break in December, all of that, but she came back and still went ahead with the process. You know,
Hmm.
now she got her reward this week.
Wow.
Can you can you
It's
can
just
you
1 year.
like less than it
Just
was
1 year, and you
really
forget.
less than 1 year, less than 1 year really
Wow.
change her
Wow.
life. Now she can settle in the UK. Like for people
Hmm.
that are in the UK, they know sponsorship. You have to pay IHS this £7,000,
Yes.
like almost
Yeah.
14,000 Australian
Hmm.
dollars. A company paying for that.
Wow.
I'm sure you've already
Hmm.
enjoyed a lot of sponsorship for your PhD at different organization anyway. But for
I
her,
sat down one day, I cost all the money.
mm,
It's a lot. My tuition alone for 3 months is what we call research quarter. $10,000 in 3 months. In a year, that is 40,000.
wow,
So 40,000, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, up until September. That's just tuition. Health
hmm,
insurance, um, allowance. I was collecting stipend every 2 weeks, which was around maybe 1,000 or there, but I can't remember.
yeah,
add it on top. You can imagine what they invest. And they gave my family full health insurance.
Wow.
Myself and my wife got. My university paid for us and my wife when we had our first child. By extension, they included when our second child came, included.
Mm.
So I was just sitting there. That's a lot of money.
It is.
So I can imagine. I can imagine what people are going through. Honestly.
Yeah, but I want to learn more about the PhD thing because I think when I was younger, I had that goal that, yeah, maybe someday I'm going to be a professor. But nowadays, I think I'm choosing a different path to just do something else, teach anyway. I teach anyway, as you know. So, but yeah, I
Yes.
wanted to dive into that. Do you think that PhD taught you some critical skills that is helping you to date? Like, do you think it's a waste, or do you think that if somebody were to do, if you were to go back like 7 years, would you, and you have opportunity to come, if you could go back 7 years and do it again, say you have opportunity to come here, not on a PhD, maybe on a different visa that allows you to work, would you do it differently? Do you think that PhD was worth it?
Hmm. Well, let me say I'll talk from two sides of the coin. From the sides that I lived,
Yeah.
PhD prepared me for what and who I am today. You know, resilience
Hmm.
is developed. It's not everybody that has it by
I
default,
agree.
which is a soft skill. It's a soft
I
skill.
agree.
So when you tried, I remember so many times in the lab, I tried some experiments, it failed. I have to review things. I drove from here to Gatton. I slept in Gatton. I was raising birds, doing a lot of things all by myself. As in, there was a day I finished on the farm. My head was pan. I had a headache all through the night. I was like, after using painkillers, it was as if I was going to pass out that night. I was up for 3 hours. What am I saying? I was up to 3 a.m. My head was banging. I was just rolling on the bed. I could not sleep after finishing on the farm. There are days that I will wake up 5 a.m. Sunday morning, I will not go to church.
Hmm.
I will spend 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. in the lab. So that resilience, there was a time I remember that I stayed in the lab. I was doing microbial culture from 4 p.m. till almost 10 p.m. in the night, trying to make my bugs grow.
Hmm.
Resilience, PhD taught me
Hmm.
that, and that fighting spirit. And well, the background has been there, knowing where we're coming from, and like we were like, oh, we have to find a way. We have to find a way to survive, find a way to rewrite our history, rewrite our family history. That we are a glory coming out of somewhere to happen. Well, if I had the opportunity of doing it differently, I may still do a PhD, but it may not be immediately when I came into Australia because I will have prioritized work experience. I had higher education. I had a bachelor's
Hmm.
degree when I was coming to Australia. I had two
Yeah.
masters, which I feel was more than enough
Yeah.
education to get me, and I need to back it up with experience because in the real
Hmm.
world, many people prioritize experience over education and
Hmm.
certification. Experience comes
Hmm.
first. Skills that you have comes first. What can you do comes first beyond I have this certificate, I have this certificate, I have this
Hmm.
education. Education makes us to communicate, but skills
Hmm.
helps us to think in different
Yeah.
angles and see
To
how to solve
solve
a problem.
problems. Yeah. Which is
Yeah.
the key thing. Now, looking at, because you have so much insight, you've been here for a long time and you've met a lot of people. Um, I just wanted to, you know, from your perspective, what issues are you seeing? As you know, for us as Sin Skills, we're committed to helping people get ahead in their career, in their life. That's how we always define our mission, right? Prosperity,
Mm.
Africans, we want you to do job that matter, be in a career that is transformational and be happy, What
Mm.
advice do you have for people who are like struggling, like they're still not sure, they have doubt, they don't have the kind of resilience that you have, they don't have that like they can't do something and not see result immediately and do it consistently for long before giving up, what advice, or like in your experience, I just want to like, what advice will you give to the African community here in Australia, in your experience?
Okay. Well, generally, with my life experience and experience in Australia, I would say don't stop trying.
Hmm.
And as time goes on, narrow your options. Don't have too many options. Because the more options you have, the more likely you'll be confused on which area to face. Oh, I can try this one. If this one does not work, I try plan B. If plan B doesn't work, I can try. The more options you have, the more confused you
Hmm.
become. Look at it critically. I can do for myself at a point, I came down to three options. I can do academics, I can do care job, I can do business analysis. But later I realized that okay, but looking at long term, a time will come in my age, I don't think I'll be able to do care job. So I had to put care job as a lower priority. I had to. I looked at academic job, I looked at IT industry or industry job generally. I looked at what are criteria, what are the key things that matter to me now? Work flexibility, passion to learn something
Hmm.
new. Like, oh, how I get amazed when people say they've been doing this thing for 10 years, 15 years. I'll be like, how manage? How did you do this? So I was all like, I think I'm happy to start. Even if it means I make a lot. I said, these guys that we are celebrating today, that are celebrating years, they started from somewhere, that I'm going to give myself to this learning. So it's about willingness to try.
Hmm.
Don't tell yourself I can't do it. Yes, even in the fear that, oh, this thing, my head cannot carry it, still give yourself a little push
Hmm.
and look around for someone who has been doing this, who has had success and failure stories. Don't go for people that have success stories alone because there's a requisite failure that we need to be actually successfully successful.
Hmm. Deep.
There is a career path. Career is not just one directional. It could be a parabola. It can sometimes even look like a negative slope.
Hmm.
But once it gets down to the peak, it picks up again to the top. But there are people that have navigated this journey before. Like they tell us in research,
Hmm.
meaning there's a search, we are doing it again.
Again.
Like arrange, we are
Yeah.
rearranging. So meaning the research you are doing, you may not necessarily be the first person. That's why it's like contribution to knowledge, meaning
Yeah.
where I'm starting from, somebody has done something, there's a gap. My work is filling a gap. Where I end, somebody else will read
Hmm.
from there and continue.
Huh.
So it's like continuous, like you are continuing.
Powerful.
You are reviewing like there's a current state, future state. The future state of today will be the current state of tomorrow.
Absolutely.
It continues like that. It continues like that. So for me, it's about understanding again what are the priorities.
Hmm.
Even if one wants to do the low skill job for now, one should have a timeline. One should not get trapped in it. I want to do this low skill job for 5 years, and in that time, start upskilling.
Hmm.
I worked all sort of jobs that at a point started affecting my back. That it kept on affecting me, even when you know, when you now later realize that I can't continue living my life like this. You have a family to care for. You want to enjoy your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
At a point after the painful part of it was I met citizens who have been here for years, and I asked them what are they doing. Some of them will tell me they are doing this kind of job. I'm like,
Hmm.
but you look very educated. Some of them even have masters. Some of them have degrees. I'll be like, how I should have a bachelor's or something related to business, you know? So I just sit down and like shake my head. You've been doing this job for 15 years. How you be coping? Because at a point, I later realized that people are in those low skill job, but they are not passionate about
They
it.
are not.
And I see some of them, though they smile, but if you can read in between the
Hmm.
lines, when they show up at work, some of them are already burnt out.
Hmm.
Some of them are just pushing through. That's any little thing. You see that people at work, things that are not supposed to be causing issues, You'll be hearing of this one is complaining about you. They are reporting things that are like
Yeah.
they are not supposed to be complaining about because people become touchy unnecessarily.
Huh.
Because people are bottling emotional stress, psychological stress. Oh, if you do three of these jobs, you will make six
Yeah.
income, and you practically have no
Oh
life.
my.
We do Monday to Friday. You have to do nights. You have to do Saturday. I have done it before. You have to do Sunday morning in the cold, like in summer, in winter now. I woke up 5 a.m. I drive off to go and walk. You come back in the afternoon. Sometimes no family time. So when we look at the why, I think that why should really fuel
Hmm.
why we need to have a particular desire for
Hmm.
change. Don't have too many options. And be very sincere to yourself that if I do this job for the next 20 years, if I'm in my 60s, when I get to 70, can I continue this job?
Hmm.
Will I be able to do this job even if I'm not located in the country? Can I take vacation
Ha.
and not be worried that, oh, if I come back, they will have given all my shift to somebody? You know, those
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's
So those are
powerful.
some of the.
You've just touched on something very important. As somebody that has an extensive experience in those jobs and another great experience continuous in tech, pros and cons. Like, tell me, how has it been? Tell me three things that were like challenge. I think you've touched on a lot, but let's just articulate them. The things that frustrated you in those low skill job, and side by side, what you don't like in tech. Because I don't want to go into like everything is rosy.
Tech is not perfect.
Exactly,
Nah, tech is not perfectly
exactly.
there. Yeah.
Then we go to pros and pros as well.
Mm. Well, personally, my
Yeah.
opinion. Let me be very specific about the job now. I did secure. I worked in the warehouse
Hmm.
before. I always have pains in my body. I'm always exhausted. I have the first time I went to Byron Bay was on a truck.
Wow.
I've been to Lismore. I've been to Ballina, New South Wales on truck.
PhD.
I was doing a PhD.
Ah.
Yes, doing PhD. I've been to
Oh my God.
the first time I went to Sunshine Coast was on a truck. I was working, so I've worked as a truck offsider. I've done pick and pack. We worked in the the shopping mall in North Lakes,
Wow.
distributing things during Christmas time. We've done hubs, we've done cleaning, we've done jobs here and there. So that's one. It's physically exhausting.
Hmm.
Number two is you don't have no. It's just more of like what I can call a meal ticket.
Hmm.
They are not. Excuse me. They are not something you can't plan a career on it. Now, I did also a care job. One of the things with the care job is it's just routine.
Routine. Yeah.
You do A, you do B, you do C. You come back the following day, you do A, you do B, you do C. Any little thing, you can start getting queries. You can even be summoned to the office. Whereas I've wondered that even in my professional office
Yeah.
roles, there have been times I didn't do well and nobody summoned me. Rather, they were providing me professional
Yeah.
support. They called me that, oh, we are willing to train you. We are willing to give
Yeah.
you someone to guide you, to sit you. I was wondering, nobody's querying me. Nobody's questioning me to come be writing incident reports.
Wow.
No. So that one alone is a mind shift that, no, this takes that if I have to take these two jobs, I'll give this a priority and even spend more time.
Hmm.
Well, the good side of some of those jobs like care job is you can make money from it.
Yeah.
You can buy a house from
Yeah.
it. You can buy a car. You can send children to school from it. You can do a lot with the money. If you have the strength, you can put so many things in place. Because I know personally people that built houses from it, both here and overseas. They bought car, they established a good life for themselves. That's a good side. But for me, I looked at it that it's more than just the money. Because the health
Hmm.
implication, like when you go and carry someone you're hoisting, sometimes I've hurt my back in the process of assisting a client. There was one of the experiences I did with a non-verbal client. He was doing sign language, and all I remembered was he just charged at me, head boot me, punched me in the head, and tore my clothes. That day was one day I can't forget. I think that was April of 2020. 3 months into doing a disability job.
Wow.
All I was just I was almost scrambling on the floor. I was alone with him in the house. It was a 24-hour shift.
Wow.
So I'm not discouraging anyone, but for me, at a point, I also saw that it's like my emotions could not carry it because I know that if I had to defend myself, I have to resist and may have to apply some force, which I'm like, if I do this thing, won't this thing contravene even my duty of care? Or won't it even be like I'm restricting, putting this person under restrictive practice or even causing pain on someone I'm supposed to care for? So those are some of the reasons why I had to slowly wind back that I don't want to be working in a place that when I'm going to shift to this person, I'm always afraid. Sometimes I will pray, oh God, let this person be in good experience. I'm like, what type of life is this? Well, I will I be going to work and be praying.
Oh, that's sad.
I'm not praying for Johnny Messi. I'm praying for a client to be in good headspace. Those kind of fear. So that's why I said no,
Oh
no, no, no,
my,
no.
that's
Well,
tough. In tech,
yeah. So
what do you not like
mm,
in tech? I don't normally ask people this, but like I think I want to learn like, you know, a broader
mm,
perspective, a balanced perspective. What do you not like in tech? If you were going to change,
tech. Well, I'll say what I don't like in tech. I'll say it this way: you have to always learn new things. You can't avoid it. Like you will have meetings. Everybody will say a lot of things, so you have to be the one that will sit down and begin to pick. So you have to do the brain work for so many people. It means you have to yourself have to put yourself in a good headspace. So you have to learn new things. Like in my previous role, I was very familiar with Jira. But when I joined my current role, they were using Azure DevOps. And they asked me to log a bug or a user story one time like that. When I got in, I was looking, I was staring, I was looking, I didn't know where to start because I saw different.
but
I was just wondering, what am I doing here? When they say I'm going to be doing enhancement, I was like, enhancement of what? When they say some things, I have to jump up. I remember that there was time I called you.
yeah,
I called a few people around. I started like, what am I going to do? So the thing is, you will make a lot of mistakes in the beginning if you are going into tech. And it is more of like every organization is different. So be ready to
yeah,
learn that new
yeah.
change, that new work culture, which is not always very easy.
It's not. Yeah,
And especially in a space that we are not many doing it, like not many
yeah,
migrants. You will get to a place you may be feeling like, oh, in a minority. You have to find a way to strengthen yourself because it's very easy to spot you.
yeah.
And if you don't do something, it may be like,
The
oh,
black person in there.
what is
What
going on
is
here?
black person?
So it's and again, mhm. So that's one of the few things I think I can spot now about tech. Tech, it's good, but it is like, are you someone that is willing to be, let me use the word, nimble or adaptable? Try new things. Okay, even in tech we do research.
Of course.
They give you a task. I have to jump on. There was time I was doing some things on X. I had to jump on YouTube. I had to open YouTube
Yes,
like this.
now.
I was looking at it, doing it in my work.
Yeah,
If you can't research, you will struggle in tech.
yeah, yeah. I think that's it.
And you have to be like a child to learn in tech.
Brilliant. So, what do you enjoy most about the two careers?
I love most the flexibility
Hmm.
to be working from the comfort of, let me say, remote work opportunity that I can still be able to run other areas of my life and still be able to
Hmm.
work. And my employers are not very rigid on, oh, you have to come to office. This is your job you have to do only on site. I have that flexibility. And they prioritize family
Hmm.
life. All the employers I've worked with, they've always been very
Hmm.
supportive, especially because when they feel it's when you have a calm space around family, that's when you can give your best at work.
Absolutely.
So flexibility and the job pays good money. And I mean good money, I don't have to do two, three jobs to earn enough to cover my family bills and responsibility. And I actually see that what I'm doing is being used.
I think that's the
Like
most
when I
important.
develop,
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt.
okay, like today
Yeah.
now, I was doing some business process modeling, current state. I had to have reviews with my team leader and manager. So I realized that they still have to refine. I did on high
Yeah.
level. I realized I made some mistake. So interesting, someone in my organization who is a senior business analyst also guided me through. So he said I should just do the low level that I walk through. So it gave me opportunity to learn,
Ne-
to make the mistakes, and see that what I am actually doing. Last week I did some uplift for our reporting system on risk, issues, and lesson learned. I reverted it back to the concerned stakeholders. They were excited about it, so they're using it for their further collaborations.
mm,
So I see that what I'm building, what I'm using, is actually being used in real life.
absolutely. You do
So
important
that is
work.
fulfilling.
I mean, I think that's the
That is
most
fulfilling.
important feeling for me. Like, you do something and you can see people use, like when I was in Nigeria, we will build software, we will do apps, we will improve a process. You will actually see people using this app.
Using it
And I'm like,
exactly.
oh my God, this is the project I work
I
on.
built that. I was
You
part of
don't
it
understand.
exactly.
It's
Mm,
so exciting, and I
mm.
think that problem solving just gives me joy, even more than the money. So let's round up and talk about, so for people who are like very scared, like tech, this is code, this is that. What what will you say your day to day? Is the job hard?
Well, I would say number one, it depends on the role.
Yep.
I will speak for myself. I've worked as a data analyst and I've been working as a reporting analyst, which sits in between data and business. Because I'm not a core data
Yeah.
analyst. In my role, I perform BA functions, building wireframes, doing business, doing requirement gathering, going through user stories, going through bugs, and
Mm,
logging system defects, and getting feedbacks from vendors and reaching out back to the users, and just maintaining that stakeholder collaboration and
mm,
engagement. So it's essentially number one depends on the role, and number two is every day. I think it's more about once you understand what you have been assigned to do, the job will be easy.
mm,
It's more about clarification. Ask questions. I did this thing. Is this what it is? No. We need to do it this way, and make notes. Even this evening, I had to take permission. I had to record the session so that I can go back and watch the video. I had to download the transcript so that I can read over it. So that I can go over it. Okay, this is what my team wants me to do. If you don't do guesswork, you don't do assumption. You are building a solution for your customers. No, you are not building a solution for yourself.
exactly.
So it's about asking questions, getting clarity. So, and when you get clarity, plan your work.
Huh.
I can do this thing in 2 days. I can finish in 3 days. And remember, there's a timeline, there's expectation. Don't wait until the people that gave you the work are calling or asking. Always show initiative to always revert back to them that, okay, I have done A out of A to Z. This is
Mm,
it. Okay, I've done B. This is it. Always keep them in the know. Feedback.
mm,
And ask for feedback. Okay, I have done something. I've uploaded it on this channel. Please let me have a look at it. Okay, it is good. It is this. And be open. Let them see one of the key things they want to see. That yearning to
mm,
learn. One of the key things I was credited in one of my full-time role was the manager told me that though I'm not very technical as they expect, but they're willing to train me because you see that I have this willingness to learn.
mm,
They saw that even if I'm struggling with writing some of the DAX functions, they saw that I'm always willing to come and say, please, I have attempted this, I didn't get it, please can you help me out?
mm.
That attitude,
To
it's
learn.
more than exactly.
Oh, powerful. I mean, like, you show that in all that you do anyway, so not surprised about that. And people should just be open to learning new things and not be scared.
Yeah.
And yeah, so just before the next question, I know you are now a LinkedIn influencer, so
Am I really
yeah,
a LinkedIn
you are.
influencer?
So
Okay.
I'm gonna link your details in the show notes for this podcast, so people can, if you want to connect with Dr. Dakbo on LinkedIn, please check him out. He dishes out, I think it's daily, right? When you find, should we say, my favorite was that the ones you put your picture, like you put your picture, and then more recently, your summary, your graphs, your powerful reports. I think you should do more of that. It's amazing. So if you want to check that, please check him on LinkedIn. You see those amazing work he's doing now. I'm inspired. I'm just always like, wow, well done, good job.
Thank you very
So
much.
where else?
Some of those things just comes from a place of looking for something that's it's a need.
Yeah.
Because I get challenged when I see a lot of people coming up with real life
Mm,
reports. When you be like, remember there was a time you said you were giving some statistical
yeah.
evidence. This is the number of people in tech. This is the number of where there are opportunities. When you said those things, I went to your YouTube channel. I was watching. I said, this is true. This is true. So I was also sitting down that, okay, let me look at what I have. I don't, because of
Yeah.
time, I have other things too, but I just look at it that, what can I do to, and I'm also using it to build my skills.
Exactly.
If I have to be honest with you,
Yeah.
some of those dashboards you see, I had to watch videos. I had to stay up
Of
late.
course.
There was one I stayed up late into the night. I spent almost 6 hours reading, reviewing, watching videos, trying to fine tune, edit, revise, read. It's more of like, and there was a day I just stayed, everybody was asleep. I stayed up till around 3 or 4 a.m.
Mm,
Like, I need to get this thing. I checked my queries, the codes. This thing is not giving me the answer. I went again. I had to do some other things to check and say, okay, how can I refine this thing?
mm.
Do you know that, interestingly, more than, I'm not exaggerating,
Oh,
since the time I did the one on my LinkedIn analytics, I have had about 5 to 6 people personally reach out to me that, how did I scrape that
of
data?
course. I saw it now. That's what I'm
I
saying.
had to walk them through.
That
I had to walk them
that's
through.
the influence.
I had to stay up around, was it not 12 midnight or 1 a.m.? One person had to call me from Nigeria. I was like, goodness, I was supposed to be sleeping, but I had to honor each other the same.
Yeah, I mean that you want to know like you you know how many people just call me randomly and like literally
Mm,
somebody had interview on Monday and I was on my way to church and she was like
wow.
calling me like, oh, do you know what she said? She said, I looked through YouTube, to
Mm,
find out more about integration and everything. I didn't just see anything that resonated. Then
wow.
I did one interview support with somebody. I don't want to mention his name. He's now working now.
Yeah.
And I posted it. It was early time, like 1 year ago on YouTube. And I just posted it on YouTube then. Nothing, no description on that video. Just title,
Mm,
product owner interview. Literally, that was the title. She found the video and she said, wow, the way I explained it resonated with her. She called me like she
yeah.
needs me to. Initially, I'm like, hey, first, you're not my student, right? Like, you need to pay for my time. I don't have time for you. You go and book on. But later, I was like, ah, this person is very passionate the way this person wants to learn. So I just indulge. And she has an interview on Monday. So I had to spend like close to 2 hours walking now through an interview. She did her presentation. I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. You know, and that's the influence I'm saying. Like that work, you see
Mm.
the engagement on that post, right? You showing value, showing your progress, you definitely get a lot of people reach out to you, to help them out. And that's how you make impact. And that leads to my next question. What do you want people to know you for?
I want people to know me for someone who does not know everything, who is willing to learn more.
Hmm,
But out of the little I know, I want to share
hmm,
so that people too can also know and be like a land, a candle lightning other candles to shine.
hmm,
The more we are, the more we can make our impact known because I alone cannot do the work.
absolutely.
And again, I realize that when you help other people, you build a community. So that when I run into an itch, I may be working in company A. Someone I help may be working in company B is in a different environment. He may be exposed to different systems and different tools and different work
Hmm,
culture who I can very, very much later in life leverage
hmm,
on. So it's going to be like, oh, I have someone. So that's network. Who you
absolutely.
know matters more than what you know.
And
And you can create that community.
brilliant. I mean, like just what you just said. I remember a few times where somebody's like, "Hey, I'm a data analyst. I want to learn business analysis." Similar to how our engagement. Do you remember the first time we actually talked? Do you remember
Yes,
the date?
yes, I remember.
What date was
I remember.
that?
I think that was towards the ending of 2023.
Yeah, so it's
I
August
think so.
30th. I
Yes.
checked today. I was
Wow.
like,
Oh my God.
wow. It's funny we've not met in person before. Anyway, we'll meet at my son and my wife birthday. So should be a great time. But anyway, thank you for that. We always like share your stories and say, hey, you want to learn business analyst and add it to your data analyst to be a super professional. We have Dr. Dakpo that have done it before, PhD, and learned all these things. And now, that moment when you sent me that your name on the door was a very proud. Remember that day?
Yes.
Like, go back in time. Like, how was that feeling? Like, from all the experience you shared, and then you just got that. You still have your office, eh?
Yeah. Well, I've been working from home for
Oh, yes, yes.
well over 1.5 months now. I've been working from home.
Yeah.
And that's another beautiful thing, this kind of job offers, You can do this job anywhere in the world.
Yeah. Literally anywhere. Like if you go to the US or Canada now, you don't need to be upskilling or anything. You just start to apply
Mm,
straight anywhere,
exactly.
literally. But yeah, that moment was really powerful for me. Like, oh wow, Dr. Akpa has his name on the door. Like it's incredible. But thank you. It's been great, having this chat. I've learned a whole lot. As I said, there'll be a part two. And for people who don't know, you are our first guest. And it's important to
Wow.
shout out that, like I said, because of the impact and everything that you've been doing in your career to inspire people. So thank you so much for spending time. But before you go, the last thing we want to do
Thank you very much.
is for you to leave a
Okay.
question for the next guest. So what question would you like to leave for the next guest?
Hmm.
I know that's like on the spot.
Oh, well, the question I would like to leave for the next guest will be if you are going to start your journey with all what you know.
Hmm.
Let me take it back. Like maybe someone that started 3 years ago. I'm not talking of education, I'm talking of a career. If you're going to start this journey again, what are the things you will repeat and what are the things you will do differently?
Hmm. Powerful. Powerful. Great. I know I said that's the last thing, but I lied. So what advice do you have for anyone struggling with different things, with fear, with imposter syndrome, with am I good enough? Can I do this? And we're not even talking about career alone, investing, health, things like that. Anything you want to share? Like what advice would you give to encourage that person?
I would say seek for help because sometimes we may have to like if you're part of a problem, you may not be able to solve that problem. Meaning move out of the problem. Meaning sometimes you have to move out of yourself to help
Hmm.
yourself. And sometimes you have to go and meet someone who can help.
Hmm.
The place of you helping yourself is when you can actually speak to yourself and you can hear yourself.
Hmm.
Like a place of reflection.
Yeah.
That okay, what exactly is causing this fear? You have to face your fear, like bring out the fear and face
Hmm.
it. What is causing this problem? What is causing this fear? If you can identify it, then you'll be able to tackle it. If you cannot identify it, go and meet someone that, okay, I am having this, I am having this, I am having this. What do you think I can do? And beyond hearing multitude of words, have that willingness to try.
Hmm.
When we try, trying does not mean it will always be successful.
Hmm.
That is one thing is failure has a way of shaping one's character. It shapes one's attitude, one's mindset or outlook to life. So Don't just look at it that, oh, I try it once, it does not. If don't always have this attitude that, oh, I try it once, if it does not work once and it does not give me just, I go back to plan
Mm.
B. Don't have an option. You can have a plan B to keep putting food on the table, or make sure that there is a strong transition plan in progress. That this thing has to work.
Mm.
There are so many places that you can do well. There are so many cities you can live in. Like you said, this is not just about career now. You can try, if you try a relationship and it's not working, ask yourself, what could I have done better?
Mm.
Some people, some of us experience it. Like when someone leaves you, you feel like, was I too hungry?
Yeah.
Or maybe I was not caring enough. What could I have done better? Was I too? You begin to review all those things. It could be a location. Okay, why I will have chosen this house. This house is closer there. We all make mistakes. Don't beat yourself too much. Forgive yourself and move on. But one of the key things is, like they tell us in project management, is lessons learned.
Lessons learned. Yeah.
The first time it was a
Yeah.
mistake. Something that happens over one more time is a
Yeah.
choice. But if it's happening 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, it becomes an habit or a lifestyle.
Mm.
So one should be able to zoom in and see that, what is causing this fear? Is it that I don't know how to speak? Go and look for opportunities to intern in a speaking role.
Mm.
Do I know how to use this tool? Reach out to people that can teach you. Is it that I don't know how to think? Go and you find someone that, look around.
Yeah.
Don't stay isolated. The more you isolate yourself, the more you remain at your current state. And current state is always
Yeah.
worse, because you will remain there and won't be
Mm.
stagnant. Find a way to reach out, seek for help. That's why even a doctor needs a doctor.
Yeah.
You cannot self-medicate yourself as a medical doctor. Even if your wife is pregnant, you still have to take her to a GP.
Absolutely.
So you cannot self-medicate yourself, because at that instance you may not be thinking optimally. So you need someone who's in the right frame of mind to do the thinking for you and guide you from hurting yourself.
I actually learned that recently when we went to our GP, and the GP happens. She's a lady. She happens. Our husband is also a doctor. So she was like, I have a different GP. We're like, can't your husband treat you? She said, no, like he can't. He can't. So what you said now just makes a lot of sense. Even if you are married and both of you are doctors, you need somebody else for that objectivity. All right. Yeah.
Exactly.
But thank you so much for your time. Friends, if you've gotten value from this conversation with our amazing guest, I've learned a lot. Please smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, share your friends and family, and continue to have the conversation. As I said, we're going to have part 2. So, yes, thank you so much. And thank you.